Would you like to play City Skylines with the industry's expansion? Are you frustrated because your cities are choked by truck traffic? Hi, I'm Lee, and in this Less Traffic Livestream, I'll show you how to build up forestry industry and house the workers you need to make it a 5-star forestry industry. So welcome everybody to the stream. I hope everybody is doing fine this fine Monday afternoon, or whatever time it is where you are. We've got fun stuff figured here for us. We've got a nice growing city, about 35,000 strong, and we will add some forestry industry to it, some unique factories, and we're going to just try to spread things out a little bit this time. This here is Puerto del Mar. This is we're just over the port area. We're just about ready to head into the Portland neighborhood. And we've got a little bit of a downtown built, and we've got some we have a trade school, technical college, whatever you want to call it. We've got a fair amount of traffic I'm noticing here as we look down Portland Boulevard and Market Avenue. Things are starting to get a lot busier. We've got our tram system going here, so we have a lot of fun things already in place, but we still have a lot of building to do to get this city really built for industry. One of the things I want to point out before we get too deep into everything that we're going to do, as I think it's important to understand why we're doing some of this stuff. So please, ask questions if you have any. Last time we built this little town of Escondido. We're going to come out here to the build up the ELM Corporation's forestry industry over here, and it'll all ship by rail into the city and be able to be turned into bigger and better things. Hopefully we'll get this Brook Ranch up here. I don't know, I haven't changed the name of that one. We haven't gotten Brook Ranch set up to be full 5 stars yet either. Maybe we'll work on that too. We have Paso Laguna. I might rearrange this a little bit because I'm not entirely happy with where the railroad stations are. I sort of just moved a bunch of things out here so we could rearrange the port in Puerto del Mar. We built this neighborhood on the hill, La Colina, and I've decided this over here will be Liverpool. And if you look close, you might see some familiar names on some of the streets in the Liverpool neighborhood. I don't know whether we've run out of names or not, but we'll find some more if we have to. We have Trans Central Station, where we've got all sorts of trains coming in. We're going to have plenty more where that came from. We're going to expand this rail down through here and over into this valley. At some point, I don't know if we'll get to that today. We've got lots of parks to build up. We've got this rest of this peninsula to build up too. I've decided to call that neighborhood Peninsula Bosque, and that's Peninsula of Wood or Wooden Peninsula. Avenida Peninsula is the main road through here, and I'd like to really get to working on some of this waterfront too, and eventually I think in the next episode I think we really need to work on getting out this way and to our south and to the west here. I don't know if we'll get to that today. I definitely want to get some more industry, especially unique factories going over here. So right now let's that's right, I was going to point out something with our economy here. So outside connections. This is a really useful info view. We're going to get an idea of what we are importing and exporting in our economy here and how balanced it is. We've got a lot of mail coming in. It sort of drowns out everything else. I haven't even checked into that to see how that's working. It's part of the industry's expansion. We've got a lot of goods that we're exporting. Not a lot that we're importing, but we are importing some goods. From the looks, not exactly sure what neighborhood, I guess right there. We do have only just slivers of that. We're importing a lot of, what is that color? Is that mail? Well, I guess they must be running some shipping and receiving operations. Maybe that's ore products actually. So we're bringing in a lot of ore and a lot of forestry. So we're going to take care of forestry. I'd like to get some ore going on probably in the next episode or two. We'll get to that. We'd also like to do some fishing industry. That would be really cool too. We can export a lot of that. We are not exporting it. We are exporting some goods. We're going to be exporting probably a lot more than that. Hopefully we'll be able to build our consumer base up too. So we'll be able to have plenty of people to eat our own cooking. Now, what is this over here about? Oh, that's weird. I must have brought that in a little too tight here. I built a park over here in Escondido. That's the name I decided I liked that somebody brought up. Just have a little central park here. I spent a lot of time off camera putting these gates in and making it so we have an actual park running through here. I put in these trees. Trees are really great for keeping the noise down. I can definitely tell you that this is a lot better than it was. I'm not sure if we'll leave this town exactly the way it is. I moved a lot of public buildings like the elementary school, police, medical clinic, fire, crematorium, all out here in this area so that we wouldn't have a perpetual flood of people saying, it's too loud. So let's get to work here on our ELM Corporation Forestry here. And please let me know. Oh, yes. I definitely want to remind everybody, if you've got a like you can give me, I would really appreciate it. Helps get the stream out there. Helps attract more people to the stream so that we can keep things going here. Happy to see everybody here. I'll do some shout outs here. We've got Aeon Door, Elric 1977, the Llama Botherer is back. And Jin. I don't know if that's your real name. It probably is, and I probably just butchered it. I'm sorry, but I'm happy to have you here. Andrew the Traveler is here, and Ratna Saha and Pierre Latrue. So happy to have you here. We're gonna go ahead and build some forestry industry, and we're gonna ship it all out by rail. That's the other thing too I didn't tell you about. I worked on this terminal. I moved it out just a tad, and I don't think that we're gonna see any more freight trains come into the passenger station and try to deliver here like we were before. They are actually using the freight terminal the way they're supposed to. So just had to move it back like a half a unit or a unit. So it's a little awkward. It's not the perfect bypass station for this exact spot, but it does seem to be working pretty well. That one should be a through freight train. It is. So anyway, so let's build ourselves a road. We've got our ELM Corporation. I've already got the industry area blocked out right here. Let me actually expand that just a little bit here. So that we have lots of options for access in here. So first thing we need to do is get our topographical lines here. And we want to have a main road here that will give us access to a lot of this land. A couple of main roads should do the trick right here. Not going to build that one out too far. And we're going to try to just build this as we need it. First thing I'm going to start off with here, if we go to Garbage and Industry, we go to our Forestry tab. I'm not going to, since I don't have to, well, let me get to this first. We need a main building. Main building is essential. And I'm going to put that right here next to... actually, you know what? I'm going to get rid of that. Move this waste transfer facility out of here. I think we will use that eventually. But I'm going to put it over here for the time being. And we'll deal with that later. Alright, so our main building for forestry. Let's put that right here on the corner. Since all of this land here is going to be an industrial area that on Crossover Street, Now, the first thing we need to have is we need to be able to harvest the trees. So we've got a large sapling field, which is going to pull out 9,600 units per week, 8 freight trucks, and then we have a large tree plantation, which is able to produce 11,200 units per week, and has 10 freight trucks. Now the cost here, we got 40 credits per week and 32 credits per week. And so basically you're going to get about the scale here is not really too bad. It's not like you're going to get a huge savings by going with one over the other, I don't think, at this scale. So let's build this one, build a tree plantation. Let's build this right here at the end of the road. And also want to get a storage facility. Whoops, that's the wrong one. We need a storage facility for all of this, and we're going to have to get some water and everything too. Okay, so we got small log yard, sawdust storage, and a large log yard, and wood chip storage. Let's go with... Yeah, let's do the large log yard here. And we will put that at a central location right here. I think that's a flat area, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty flat. And let's get some water and power over here. Now, I don't know why the game thinks that we need water and electricity to, or at least water. I guess since this is a tree farm, it would assume that you'd need water. I guess it doesn't need electricity, so that's good to know. And just to fill in, let's get a maintenance building right here next to, let me get a topographical view here. Yeah, let's just put this right here. And where can we put the workers? Barracks. I don't know if we want to put those in town here. Let's build another street. Right here. Whoops. And we'll put our workers' barracks on that. Build a couple of those. And we need to get some power spread here, so let's see if we can get some more residential zones in here to move in. And then maybe that will spread it. Speed up the clock a little bit here. It's not quite doing it. Let me see if we can put a commercial zone right here. Yeah, we'll do that. Whoops. I didn't want it to be quite that close. Let me just make it a 4 square one. I'll put another one over here. Oh, so close. Alright, so I think we might get a connection if this other one builds. Come on. There we go. We have electricity. We need more water. Alright, so now we have a little bit going on here. Let's check on and see what we've got going on. We've got 76 workers coming in so far. We need another 75 or so, roughly 75 to get in here. One of the things that we can do to make that happen is we need to have something to consume all of this timber and stuff that we're harvesting now. So we have sawmill, biomass pellet plant, engineered wood plant, pulp mill, And I think that's all of them. So why don't we go with something that's going to give us some plain timber, I think is what this one, this one creates engineered wood, makes plain timber out of it. So we will build that right here next to our maintenance building. Actually, you know what? We're not going to put that on the main road. Why don't we, just to make things a little more efficient, build a road over here and build that over there. And we'll put a pulp mill in too. Get some water. All right, so now we'll have trucks coming here from the large log yard and from this tree plantation. We could probably, use another one of those. And actually, I'm going to put a sapling. Oh, that's much smaller than I expected it to be. How about if we put the sapling field why don't we extend that road right there? Yeah, we'll go about 12 units right now. Just to leave for a little expansion room here. And put, maybe you could probably fit a couple of these, couldn't we? No, I guess not. All right, that's good. Now, so one of the things that, oh man, anarchy is on. Let me fix that here. Now, one of the things that is really pretty nice about this, about these timber, these extractor fields, because basically each industry has its own extraction building. In this case, we've got the tree plantations and the sapling fields. We can actually change the appearance and make that a greenhouse if we want to, but we have a pretty warm climate, so we only really need a field here to protect those saplings. What's really cool is that it won't sculpt the terrain in a way that is unfavorable to us. It will just leave it as a nice, it'll follow the terrain. Some of our buildings over here, though, like this one here, looks like it follows the terrain pretty well. But this building and these manufacturing buildings here, you can tell that they do not. All right, now let's see what we're doing as far as workers, whether we can get up to two stars or not. Okay, we've got 100. Okay, we just hit 2 stars. So now we've got a 2-star industry. So now what we need is we need workers to come in and work in the mills here. We need to get up to 500 resources, and whoops, it looks like we did not hit 150 workers after all. Let me see if I can speed this clock up and if we can get us there, or if we need to get more workers first. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we need to get our 500 produced resources before we can actually get to that next level, but we are getting the workers to come in. I don't know what the next level is going to be, but we need to start thinking about that so we can have enough residents out here in Escondido to support that industry. So let's expand Escondido. Add some more residential streets. We'll just make that one straight. One of the things that happened a lot in a lot of places is that you ended up with some pretty fast growth. Once industry arrived in an area, and now we have cut off our electricity. So we're just going to follow that pattern here. And cut off our electricity again. This particular. Yeah. Okay. Reconnected. Let's see if we can add any more streets following the terrain. Oops, we got an autosave. Looks like we can go out to about here. I'm going to hold off on that particular spot. All right, so let's get some residential zones in here. So get some of that to fill in, then we can get rid of these power lines. Hopefully we'll hit 2 stars pretty soon. All right, so let's take a look at the chat window, and actually, let's take a look at the chat window here in a second. See what we've got going on here. We're at 16 likes. I'm gonna use magic now. Wait for it. I've left you as like as always. Hey, thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Andor. Yeah, we're up to 22, so that's not too bad. Trying to get the people hyped with bad jokes. All right, so Aki Immortal asks, when will we see the next episode of More Money, Less Traffic? No pressure, just asking for an estimate. I know the production is very time-consuming to get them just perfect. I'm hoping I'll have something by Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday at the latest, hopefully Wednesday. I'd love to say it was going to be tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to get done today because I'm doing a live stream. I'm going to try to work on it and get it done so that we can premiere it on Wednesday. We'll probably do a 1 o'clock time on that too. So, yeah. Actually, maybe we'll do. Why don't we try for? I think we're gonna do like 12:30. We'll do a 12:30 premiere time tomorrow for more. On Wednesday. Wednesday or Thursday, we'll do a 12:30 premiere time for More Money, Less Traffic. I've got it so close. I have to get a few shots to finish it all out. Using dirt road would look good in the forestry industry area. Yes, it would. We'll definitely be doing that. And it would look good. WOOD. Good point, Llama Bother. Ash Phoenix, good evening. Lee, nice surprise to see you streaming. Oh, well, this is planned. Evening here in Denmark. I figured you were over in Europe. Can anyone see the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn where they are? Been cloudy here all day. Where are you, Llama Bother? I'm curious. Andor, raining all day. Maybe spread out some of the city buildings. Police hospital. Right now, I think everything is doing pretty... Oh, I need to get more water out here. I'm going to pause it so I don't end up losing all of my people that just moved in. Okay, there we go. So now how many people we have in Escondido? We have a little over 1,300. I hope I have that all. Yeah, I do. Good. So we've got our 500 resources. Why are we? Okay, we are 2 stars now. We've got our 500 resources. We need to have 350 more workers, 350 workers, so we need another 100 workers to come in, and we've got room for 440. So I think we're doing the right thing here by expanding Escondido in order to get more people to move in here. And, oh, that's another thing we could work on, is work on the university, getting it up to prestigious, because we definitely have enough students. We just need to get the campus attractiveness. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to, while we're waiting for this to fill in, let's go over to our university. Or should I say trade school? And see where we're standing here. We're 4 stars. We need another 110 in campus attractiveness. So there's a few things that we can do to increase the attractiveness here. It looks like some of these are not going to help us with campus attractiveness, these policies here. Increases campus attractiveness by 20%. That's if we institute universal education. Since this is a trade school and it's always good to have enough people in the trades, this is not actually a bad option here. Another thing we can do is beef up our sports. We can do advertising campaign, sponsorship deals. Well, hey, we could definitely use some sponsorship deals. So let's do that. Now, we go over here to Varsity Sports. Now, one of the things we could do is we could spend some money on getting these guys to win. Let's see how they've been performing so far. They've lost the last 2 games. So one great way of improving that is if we are to increase our cheerleading budget and our coaching staff budget. So if we hire, actually I think cheerleading doesn't really help us much. It does increase the chances of winning a match by a little bit of a percentage, but it also increases the attractiveness. So that makes a big difference. Also, we can hire more coaching staff. That will improve our chances of winning. If we increase our winnings, the amount that we win, then we will end up with a whole lot more attractiveness from just the fact that we have a very well-regarded, very winny type of program here. So now we've increased the coaching budget to 15,000 credits, and now we're losing money. So we can't quite go that far without raising our taxes. So why don't we do something a little more reasonable, like we'll just add 8 more to the coaching staff. Now, once we get some of this forestry industry going here, we're probably going to do quite a bit better. But we can increase our cheerleading budget. Hey, let's go to 500 credits there and see if that improves our attractiveness much. Or up to 17, 18. So that's helped a little bit. Now, as they win games, it will definitely improve what we've got going on over here. So we'll see how that goes for the time being. And then go back over here to Escondido, which, by the way, ELM stands for Escondido Logging and Milling Corporation. So we have our 320 workers, and we're producing quite a bit. We are increasing the number of workers. It looks like we can get rid of these power lines and zone in some more residential. Yeah, you know what? We'll do that right now. And we will, I think we'll see about expanding here further to the north, maybe to the south. Yeah, let's do this. All right, so that's Main Street. I want Main Street to be able to come right on out of that area there. Let's do 13 units right here, so we have some symmetry. Oh, maybe 14 actually. And we'll line it up. Yeah, that looks pretty good. 135 degree angle. let's build a street. Why don't we have this street angle around here too? How far is that? We go 16 units here? Yeah, I think 16 units. I'm just trying to get this to... Yeah, that looks good. So now I've got, follows the terrain pretty well and angles right on out. I might move this street here too a little bit, but I want to make sure that Main Street is indeed a main street. Something else I'm going to do is build a little road here. Yeah, that's not too crazy steep. No, that looks pretty good. So then if we end up running like a bus line or something, or a tram line down through here, it's not going to be a big problem to have all that connect. So let's fill that in with residential after I get some water in here. Okay. I'm not building that up yet. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with the other side of the street, so I'm going to leave that unzoned at the moment. And we can fill this in over here a little bit. We'll talk about zoning patterns a little bit here too, because you may have already noticed that I do some things you may not be used to seeing with zoning. Okay, so now that's going to be pretty steep. Why don't we just build it over here? And I think we can get away with coming out there. It's going to be a steep grade, but I looked into this into grades the other day because I got curious, and I found out that the steepest grade in the United States is all the way up, is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Although I suppose there is some controversy on this. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania has a street, I think, has a 37% grade, which means that it goes up 37 feet or 37 centimeters for every, 37 centimeters for every 100 centimeters, or 37 feet for every 100 feet, however you want to look at it. It's one of those ways of explaining grades that actually works pretty well no matter whether you're using metric or not. I'm not exactly sure if that's how they do it with railroads in Europe. I seem to recall that some other countries do it a little bit differently, but either way, the point is that there are ways. The grade is rather steep. It's a pretty steep angle that the street goes up, and we end up with nothing close to that with those streets that I just put in. Nothing so far in Puerto del Mar comes up to that. So that's not to say that we wouldn't end up there. Now, cool thing is we are already at 3 stars here. And now we need 550 workers. We need to add more. We have a maximum of 485 workers so far, which, this is interesting here. So we have a whole lot of overeducated workers and not a whole lot of uneducated workers. We've got a few in the middle, so that's actually not a bad thing. We don't need a lot of highly educated workers for forestry to function and operate, but it certainly it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to hurt anything to have overeducated workers here. As long as they have work, that's what matters to us. It does help to have uneducated workers, but a lot of times those people have just moved into our city, and that's why they're uneducated. Now, one of the things I want to do is let's densify this a little bit, and we're going to do that right here in the center of town. Get some density going, because we don't want to have everybody walking a really far distance to get to work. If they're going to walk at all. You don't want them to drive very far either if they decide to use a car. So we'll change all the zoning in the core here around our commercial district into high density residential. And that should bring in plenty more workers. I think we were up around 1,400. This should probably put us up closer to 2,500, maybe all the way up to 3,000. I'm not really sure. I'm not used to playing with just vanilla I'm used to playing with the realistic population revisited mod, which gives you a lot more, it puts a lot more workers, a lot more residents into a smaller building footprint. Okay, so we need to get some more places to work here. So let's get some raw materials happening here. Why don't we build up the hill? And let's see how best to do that. Well, it looks like we could extend this road right here out to, let's go 28 units. Looks good. That will allow us to add in another extractor. I keep hitting parks instead of industry. Now, do I want to do, oh, it says the slope is too steep. I didn't know it could be too steep, so we'll put one of those tree plantations there. It needs watered. That will slightly increase our maximum number of workers. We're over 500 there now. So let's add in, let's put in another sawmill. No, that's not right. Engineered wood plant, that's what I want. Now, for any of you who have maybe checked out some other YouTubers, Do Not Eat has a really interesting take on the whole industry's expansion. He really sort of destroys it, honestly, and really points out a lot of flaws that are in here. Like a lot of the pieces to these industries just don't make any sense compared to real life. So they basically took some buildings. They thought, oh, hey, that would look cool, so let's put one of those in the game. Or hey, that sounds cool, so let's make it called that. They do have these type of buildings, but a lot of them don't really follow any logical sort of sense. So he's got an interesting video on that if you're interested in checking it out. I think his channel is Do Not Eat 01 or something like that. But he does city skylines videos, and he's got one that's just a review of the industry's expansion. And I don't think he's really into it. It is a fun part of the game, but it's definitely not very realistic, especially when you consider how many trucks this stuff generates. Now I'm going to point out a couple of things here. I talked about zoning patterns just briefly here. Let's talk about, whoops. Well, we're still acclaimed. Our attractiveness is up to 1713. We're going to check on that here in a second. I'm going to slow the clock down here. So one of the things that you see that I've done here is I've made it so Crossover Street is sort of one of the spines that gets into Escondido here, and it also goes into the heart of our industrial area. Since this is going to be a small town, or at least it's going to start out as a small town, we're not going to worry too much about anything traffic wise, because we're not going to have a whole lot of through traffic. Everything is going to come in and out on rail. So we do have to maybe manage that to an extent, although I don't know what's going on here. These guys stuck? It doesn't look like it. I don't know why those aren't moving out. They should be moving. Let me just get these out of here. They might have been stuck. All right, so anyway, what I've done is I've tried to place the buildings that are going to create the least amount of traffic in the front here. You've got internal traffic, so basically you've got your extractor buildings here, like the plantations and the sapling fields. They're going to collect wood and they're going to bring it to the log yard, or they're going to bring it to the pulp mill or the engineered wood plant. And they also might bring it from the log yard. This is sort of like a holding reservoir. I usually just build one of these that's going to be close to where I'm going to need the raw products. Now, hopefully we're not importing a bunch of stuff. We don't want to import it from out of the area. If we take a look here, we can see that we are not importing currently. So we have plenty of raw forest products we're stockpiling here that are going to keep our paper and plain timber mills going here. Now, one of the things I did not build that I need warehouses. And these warehouses are going to hold the plain timber or the paper that are going to come out of these facilities. Right now, all we're doing is exporting that. And all that's going to go straight to the railroad station. So what I've done here is I've made all this industrial traffic so that all it does is go to the railroad station, the freight terminal, and it's out of here. It does not clog up any of our streets or create a bunch of traffic noise over here in the residential area or the commercial areas of Escondido. I've also put the commercial area here, as far as zoning pattern goes, I put that in the middle because I want people to be able to go shopping for all of their needs. I put commercial over here just because it made more sense than residential or industrial. Industrial might cause pollution. Don't really want that. Although I could probably put forestry industry in there and that would be okay. Industry specialization out here. So I've got the commercial in the center so that way everybody can sort of converge in the center to do their shopping. The park is also there so that people can go to the park if that's what they want to do while they go shopping. Also, it's all connected over here to where everybody works. So at some point, I might run a bus line if I ever build a road that connects into the rest of Puerto del Mar, the rest of the metro. I can then run a bus that will, run all through Escondido, maybe go to the rail station and bring residents to work in ELM. So that's basically what I'm trying to do with the zoning pattern. You'll actually see a very similar pattern even here. Again, I've got commercial in the center. I really wish I had this rail station right up here. I'll probably move that at some point. This freight terminal, I'm not sure if I want that exactly where it is. I might move it over here on this line so we can only have passenger on this particular line. That would be good. Then we also have the residential all surrounding it, and we have all of our trucks close to the rail freight terminal and close to the highway that leads out of Paso Laguna. And then over here in Puerto del Mar, you'll see the same pattern, except for the commercial is a little different. We've got a commercial center in here. We've got a lot of residents in there. We've got some office. So everything is within walking distance if you're in this neighborhood. It's not even that far to walk to get to commercial from any of this because I've got it along the main arterial roads and some of the collectors. And then I've got my industry all out here off to the side where I do not have any industry crossing through downtown and creating even more traffic than there already would be. So this is a zoning pattern that is very successful for me, and it should be very successful for anybody because it's honestly the very same zoning pattern that you see in real cities. Now, one of the things I will not recommend is when we build this up quite like this. I mean, right now it's kind of small and it is actually more spread out than it really appears. This neighborhood here is pretty dense with generic industry. But the whole point I'm making here is that if we have everything all clustered together too close, in a nice compact area, it tends to create a lot of traffic problems. Right now, we're not experiencing any of those in any serious problems, but that could easily change as things develop. So I wanted this area to be a large industrial area, but I'm not going to just extend and have a whole slew of industry out over here too. I'm going to have some residential neighborhoods and different developments in the interim in between here that will build up around the port, rather than having one giant industrial area. Because if we end up doing that, then we concentrate all that truck traffic in the same place, and we might only have one or two ways for the trucks to get in and out of the city, with the cargo hub and the the cargo terminal right here. And as you can see, neither of these are particularly overwhelmed. There are a lot of trucks going in and out, but not an overwhelming amount. And the same is true over here. In fact, the port's actually pretty quiet. And a lot of that's because some of this stuff gets in and out by rail. That makes a huge difference. And the same over here. We don't see an overly busy freight terminal. And over here, I think we're going to be pretty busy, but not overwhelming. Now, unfortunately, I have jammed things up. I don't know exactly what's causing this. I don't remember if I turned despawning off. Okay, despawning is off, so I'm turning it back on because I really prefer to have it off, but for whatever reason, some of these trains are getting stuck over here and at this terminal, and I don't know why. I'll have to troubleshoot that later. All right, so let's see. How close are we to getting to the next level? We've got 484 workers. I think that we should be fine. We'll get the 4-star level in ELM here pretty soon. Escondido has almost 3,000 in population now. We have a lot of jobs, more jobs than we have workers, so that means we're actually importing people from the main part of Puerto del Mar to work in here. So this is a pretty prosperous little area. So let's add some more residential here, and then I'll take a look at the chat window here. Well, actually, you know what? Why don't I do this? Let's I'll take a look at the chat window when we come back. For the time being, I'm going to give you a view of the city, and I'm going to send you to commercial. We'll be right back after a message from these sponsors. All right, so let's take a look at the chat window here. Hello from Croatia, from Azrael. Good to have you here again. Welcome back. And Llama Bother is in the UK. And apparently not getting out anytime soon. Yes, I've heard it's getting kind of bad over there, so hang in there, you guys. We're doing the same thing over here in Ohio. Definitely having a lot more trouble with cases here. So this is probably the worst we've had it here in the fall. We have not had it too bad. We had it some in the spring and not too bad in the summer, but it's been really bad this fall. And the missus works in healthcare, so she's not a nurse or anything. She's not on the front lines, but she's definitely close enough to have to worry about dodging bullets here and there. Let's see here. So please don't make the road straight. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of crooked roads. But this is a nice American city, and we haven't gotten into the mountains. You know, you're going to see some mountain roads here pretty soon, and those are definitely going to be far from straight. We might actually try to build one of those mountain roads out so that we can connect to the main part of the city by road, and then I don't have to have anything but a waste transfer station there in Escondido. Let's see here. Thingamajig. No, I've managed to see Either cloud before, constant rain now. Everybody's talking about the weather. Waleed says, hi, watching from Bangladesh. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Ayinde, long-time watcher. Hey, all, long-time watcher, first-time commenter. The sun came out here on the East Coast, but not sure how long it will last. East Coast of where? I'm curious. Are you here in the U.S.? I know here on the North Coast, along Lake Erie, it is quite cloudy, which is typical for this time of year. We don't usually see a whole lot of the sun unless Lake Erie freezes over. It looks like we've got an autosave. Mason J. Oh, I'm sorry. Derek W. Yeah, up here in New York, Long Island, it's sunny, but a lot of snow on the ground. Well, that must be nice. Snow and sun I can handle. I wish I could just have sun. It's pretty cloudy here on the Great Lakes, if you're downwind from them like Cleveland is. Amazing J. Hi, Lee. Good evening from London. Just curious, how come you started the game with 750,000 pounds instead of 65,000 pounds on the more money save? I want to use a mod that gives you more starting money, but not OP. Okay, so I'm not really sure if that has to do with how the map is set up. It might have to do with map settings. I know there's some fluctuation as to where the milestones come in and all that kind of stuff, so check into that. I'm not really sure. All I know is I unlocked all the tiles and and 750,000 credits instead of 65,000. Okay, when you use the unlock all mod, that's what it is. Unlock all will give you all the money from all the milestones because you get a bonus. You get bonus money every time you unlock a milestone. So with unlock all, it basically gives you the Megalopolis milestone all right away. So that's why it does that. I want to use a mod that gives you more starting money, but not OP. I'm not sure what you mean on that one. Waleed says, is the majority of low-density residential a good idea? I mean, single-family homes aren't that great for a city. Okay, so a couple of things. In city skylines, single-family homes are not single-family unless you're using the realistic population revisited mod. That one will make it so that you have one single household per single-family house for low-density residential. I'm hoping our team won. Looks like the game just let out. So anyway, yeah, so there's actually several households in most of these single-family homes. In general, I would say, yeah, you don't want to go with single-family, but the game doesn't really have a medium-density residential, and so I'm sort of, since I'm not plopping buildings down by hand right now, I'm just going to use single-family right now, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that I can't really predict how traffic is going to be, what the traffic patterns are going to be with 100% success if I build a whole bunch of high density right away. So if I start and I work my way up with low density residential, then I end up having less of those type of problems. And then as I densify, I can see, oh, hey, traffic is getting sort of out of control. I might not want to densify that entire neighborhood right away. So there's a lot of that is basically I want to ramp up. It's not typical of cities, at least not in the States, to go vertical right away. And with the international tile set, that's exactly what will happen with your cities. I wish I was using realistic population on this one. We'll do another live stream series where I'll do that because it definitely changes the game dynamics quite a bit, because I would have probably like 10,000 sims if I was using realistic population, because I hardly have any high density residential, and low density residential would seriously be one family per household in every single house that's low density. So I really need to, you need a mod to really make it realistic. So try to keep that in mind. High density isn't even that much more dense than low density, but it's a lot easier to manage. And that's why you get bus routes that make sense in low density neighborhoods. It's just because there's actually a lot more density than what you would get in real life. Derek says they're good for suburbs. That's true. That's why they're built in suburban areas. City folk don't like single family because of the cost of them. That tends to be a good part of the reason, although in America, one of the reasons why we have a housing crisis in a lot of the parts of the country, Cleveland is not one of those places, by the way. housing is really cheap. You can get a single family home for a ridiculously good price. You can own a lot cheaper than you can rent, in fact. But in a lot of places, like on the coasts, it is very expensive to rent or buy. There's a huge housing crisis going on. And a lot of that is because you've got single family people living in single family homes, and they don't want to, they basically just don't want to allow any density at all, simply because it would change their neighborhood. It would block their views. There's all sorts of reasons. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, go ahead and check that out. NIMBYism is a definite problem here. That's not in my backyard. If you've ever played SimCity, that's where I learned what NIMBY means. There's also YIMBY, which is yes in my backyard. It's gotten so bad, though, in parts of California and the West Coast that there's a definitely organized movement to reduce housing costs by increasing housing stock, by removing single-family zoning. And they're starting to make some headway in some other major cities, but it's very, very slow. And usually the ones that remove the single-family zoning are urban areas that need the development and need the jobs, and not the ones that have the development and need to increase, housing stock, like in California, for example. They're overinflated in America. Yeah. Well, it's part of the American dream. You have a house with a 2-car garage, 2 cars to put in it, etc. It's kind of crazy when you get down to it. I'm trying to build this city to be rather compact, and we'll densify it a lot more at some point. But right now, I'm not quite ready to do that. I need to get more bones of the city set up still. And I think we'll try to do some of that today. But right now I'm trying to just get this one industry up to 5 stars and catch up on the chat window. Let's see. So it's a bad idea in real life, but in city skylines, there's very little between McMansions and massive towers. That is very true. Conscript David, gonna watch on 1.5 speed to catch up. Zeno's paradox in practice. Llama bother. Plus, if you want to make smallish places and then build them up over time, you've got to start somewhere. That is very true. And that is exactly what I'm doing. And that's something I would recommend to any new player that's playing the game. Until you get a good handle on how to handle traffic problems, density can really mess you up. And if you're playing with mods, sometimes you got to get to know the mods really well so you don't make mistakes with the mods, because you can create worse traffic problems and not know why and not know how to troubleshoot it or what's going on if you're not familiar with the mods, especially Traffic Manager President Edition. And I would say especially with the lane connectors. Lane connectors bite people all the time. I see cities where everybody's going a certain way, and it's all because somebody used the lane connector and didn't realize that they changed something that they probably didn't want to, inadvertently, and just didn't realize it. Pablo says, your videos are great. Keep up the good work. You deserve more views and likes. I appreciate the hard work you put into making these videos. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. And if anybody can afford to share a like on this or make a share and bring in some people who are big City Skylines fans, friends, anywhere, maybe you're on a group somewhere. I really appreciate any time you guys get a chance to share. It helps bring more people into the community, and that's always a good thing. I love the lively discussions. So let's see here. Derek says a 2-bed townhouse in New York could go for $365,000 on Long Island. Yeah, and I'm living in one that I think it would probably run for like a fraction of that. Like literally, I think almost an eighth of that cost. An eighth to a ninth, a sixth to an eighth of about that cost is what it costs for me to live in suburban Cleveland. So Ohio is really very inexpensive. And the jobs here are pretty good. I mean, I don't know if I'd try to move right now with the pandemic, but jobs aren't bad here. It's not got a great rep, but sometimes places get a rep they don't really deserve it. At least, not as much as people would have you believe. Where I live, everything is high density. Single family homes can be found only in small towns, mostly old family lands, and that's Waleed. Derek W. Same with me. I live in mostly suburban area with little to no apartments, and the folks that live here are against high density. I forget where you said you were. Oh yeah, Long Island. Yep, that's probably one of those places. I know Metro New York definitely has issues getting enough housing stock. Yinde says, I live in an apartment building in New York City, good density balance. Yeah, New York City is nice. It's just crazy expensive, but it's nothing compared to what you see out in the West Coast, it seems like, at least Silicon Valley, for sure. Derek says, they'll sue a company if they put up an apartment. Yeah, they do that in a lot of parts of the U.S. Not in the Midwest. See here, Derek says, I live in a semi-detached townhouse of the UK style of housing. Llama Bother says a lot of the Atlee era terraces are actually higher density than a modern condo would be. Derek says, to be honest, I'm not against. Where did I lose Derek? Oh man, there's a lot going on here. I'm gonna have to skip over some of this. Not against townhouses, terraced homes, and condos, and just against multi-dwelling apartments. Interesting. Llama Botherer, Do Not Eat 01 and Well There's Your Problem podcast are his channels. Yes. Derek, so 500 plus or more apartments is a no-no. Well, yeah, they're also bad for the environment. In my experience, a few of the big 60s towers are actually quite nice. It's just that most of them have suffered from a really serious lack of investment. That's what happens when you have landlords. Waleed, building heights are also a factor of concern. Hong Kong, China type high-rises have some negative impacts on city life. Derek, if you really need apartments, build them in downtowns, not in suburbs. I have to agree with that. The problem is getting people to go into places in cities. Cities are definitely designed, they're laid out for it better. They would have better public transportation in a lot of cases. Yeah. It'd be great if they just stopped building suburbs in the U.S. We don't need more. We just need to densify again in our cities. Derek, if you really need apartments, build them in downtowns. PK, after so many DLCs, this game lags so much. Llama Bother, I don't mind flats as long as there are enough services to support that kind of population density. Derek, even garden apartments are cool. They're low height and less of an impact on the earth. Some of them are also ugly, especially from like the 70s. I used to live in one. I didn't mind it, but I don't mind urban living. I think I could get used to that. Is that farming left to the left of your new town? Yeah, it probably is. We're going to see Llama Bother in a little bit. Teddy Radko, hi, finally catching a stream more than 1 minute before ending. Scared Hamster says this is a cute place. Andrew Bearden Brown, when you mentioned your plans for changing the locations of passenger and cargo stations in Laguna, it seems like you're on the way to segregate rail traffic. Yeah, well, I want to do that as much as I possibly can. Especially in the inner city, because that's where the most traffic's going to be. That's what you have to do, is segregate that as much as you can when it comes to rail. Andrew Bearden Brown, are you going to set up a second outside rail connection for cargo next to the passenger one? Not sure. Hello from DC in this urban planning major. Hey, glad to have you. Thanks for joining. Your zoning patterns are the best of anyone on YouTube for sure. Well, thanks. I studied real life. That's where I got the idea. Oh, I must have paused it. Are you going to release the unmodded episode in the series you created soon? Yes, this week. Exploded deleted, raining like usual here in Seattle. Yeah. Hi, Lee. I'm Luis, and I'm watching from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Glad to have you. Welcome to the stream. Scott Corrine, I believe it's a lie that it always rains in Seattle. I visited Seattle in 2012, and it wasn't raining. If you go in the summer, especially the later part of the summer, it isn't always raining. I was there, and it didn't rain a drop when I was there. I was there for like 3 or 4 days. Not in Seattle proper, but... Well, actually, it did rain a little bit overnight when I was at Olympic. We camped at Kalalik, and then went into Seattle after spent a few days. Spent a couple of nights at Solduck. Really beautiful area. I highly recommend Olympic National Park. That whole area, there's a lot of really beautiful places. And then we went to Mount Rainier. We only spent a few hours probably in Seattle proper. It was a camping trip mostly. I had never been to Seattle, so it was kind of cool. We get to see Pike Place Market and stuff like that. Waleed Hassan, any ideas for a bicycle highway type thingy? I've been mulling that over in my head. Not yet. We don't have the density going on here just yet. There where I'm definitely going to implement that, but I have thought about that, and I think we might try that as the city gets bigger and traffic becomes more of an issue, because it's more fun to see how great the traffic gets after you put one of those things in when you've got bad traffic to begin with. Let me slow that clock down just a tad. Okay, I saw a comparison video about Cleveland and Detroit today from Conscript. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a few. Boswinkle, people from the Netherlands over here. Keep up the good vids, Lee. Well, all right, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you, Scott Green. Cleveland is cheap. Yes, it is. And it's a good bang for your buck. I mean, we have a lot of disposable income here, too. You know, you can live below your means pretty easily here and then have a lot of money for travel and stuff like that if you want to. Conscript David, I saw a comparison video about Cleveland and Detroit today, which said both places are currently recovering on a very steady and healthy pace. That is true. Hopefully it continues after the pandemic. We'll see. They mentioned just how cheap Cleveland is. Mason J, London house prices are crazy. Yeah, the speculation definitely hurts a lot of these hot places like London, New York City, San Francisco. Rich people want to buy a place because they think that's going to be a great place to stash their money and have it grow, and they're probably right. Although pandemics might, who knows, maybe the pandemic will reverse some of that trend. It depends on what the businesses do. In a lot of cases, do they allow them to work from home remotely in other states and countries? I guess we'll find out. The D.C. area has a housing crisis, but you actually have suburbs like Montgomery County, Maryland, Arlington County, Alexandria City, and Fairfax County, Virginia, which push hard for transit-oriented development, high density. Yeah, it seems like that area is less insane with the regulations restricting housing development, and they recognize the need to go vertical, which you can't go vertical in Washington proper because Washington, D.C. doesn't allow buildings to be any higher than I think that's the top of the Capitol building. So even the Washington Monument, though taller vertically, is not higher, as with relation to like sea level or something, because the Capitol is on a hill and the Washington Monument is not. Conscript David, and the runner has caught up to the tortoise. Take that, Zeno. Well, glad you caught up. Derek W., I've been to Alexandria, beautiful place. I haven't really spent a lot of time in the D.C. area, but I did like what I saw around the National Mall. But I'd have to say historic houses are 1 million range, which is quite ridiculous for the age of building, yes. LeBron came back, so that's a good sign, I guess. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if he wished he hadn't gone to Los Angeles, too. But who knows? He did win a championship, so I can't say that's a bad thing for him. And see here, the Pacific Northwest, Russell White has a dry season during the summer, rarely rains. I lived in Portland for 4 years. Housing is indeed ridiculous. That's why I moved back to Ohio. Mansfield, hey, that's not too far from me. I'm just up in Cleveland, North Olmsted, actually, in the suburbs. All right, so let's get back to this. Whoops, I hit the wrong button here. Let's get back to this, see if we have a 4-star. Okay, we have enough production. We do not have enough workers. So what do we need to do to get more workers? Looks like we just need to make more housing here. So let's do that. And I think we'll be able to get something going here. Now let's see our topographical lines here. All right, so I think we will. Yeah. Let's do that. No, let's do this. This will look good. All right, 19, 7 units. Okay, so I can go 12 units, and then I'll get a nice even curve right here. And we can zone that in once we get the water extended, which hopefully will not create a problem right here that yeah, that looks good. And I could probably, let's see here. I think that we could probably add a bit more high density. No, I'm not exactly sure what is causing this. Oh, I see. There's one of those weird gaps that I always hate in the grid. It's really going to be hard to fix. I'm just going to leave it go. All right. And I'm just going to try to make this as much of a bedroom community and bedroom and logging community as we can. That's my goal here. I'll have some big buildings in the center here. And I'm going to expand out further. I hope I don't regret not having increased the size of some of these roads here. Like in particular this one here, which is what, Center Street, I think. Yeah. Or crossover, not really sure which one will be more important. So we're going to continue the block pattern out here. Alright, that looks pretty good. So if any of you have any questions so far, I certainly appreciate it. And again, as always, if you have any likes you can spare, I sure appreciate it. Bring in some more people, maybe pump that number up into triple digits. We'll see. All right, so I've got an area right here I gotta get watered a little better. That should do. All right. That's starting to fill in nicely. It's actually going to be quite a bit bigger than Paso Laguna at this point. But Paso Laguna will get its day. Actually, let's increase that, bring that into the city, into the limits here of the district. Now we still are looking for about 100 workers more that we need to get up to 4 stars. We're not importing. Safety is supervised more carefully. Increase production output by 10%. Building upkeep by 10%. I don't know a whole lot about those policies. I'm going to hold off on those, and hopefully we are seeing a little increase in the number of workers as people are moving in over here, so that's good. So while we're waiting on that, why don't we work on adding access by road into this area so that we can perhaps get some buses over here without having to build a special bus depot. If we look at our topographical lines, one more thing before we do that. We're going to come back to this in just a second. Before we get back to that, let's see if we can get our university up to prestigious. So we only need about 80 more in attractiveness. And the last game, we still lost. Takes a while, I guess, to build that back up. We'll get there, though. We've got enough money. We could probably afford to spring for a couple more coaches. So let's do that. Actually, you know what? Let's not worry about our budget too much. Let's go for 4 more coaches. That should help us get a little bit more win going out of here. Another thing that we can do is we can add a building. Oops, that's not what I wanted. We could also add a building, and we're only looking for just over 70 in attractiveness. So let's see if maybe we could add like a gymnasium here, and maybe push this over to the top. Looks like I must have passed it. Here it is. Gymnasium. Now it doesn't tell how much attractiveness that adds. Now it makes sense that we would perhaps have one of these over here. Let me add to the campus area here. I think it makes sense that we would have one of these right over here by the basketball arena. That's probably not exactly where I wanted it. So let's see if this adds enough to our attractiveness. Oh, that didn't really do a whole lot, did it? Well, how about we do this? Let's move this over here. And are we going to want to go up that hill on this street or not? Oh yeah, we got all sorts of room. Let's see if we can fit in a statue or something. Because you got to have a statue of whoever was the star player there, right? Although these are academic statues. I don't know. Let's try extending that street. Now, where are we going to want to go with this? I don't know. Doesn't look like we're going to go very far. Oh, that's what we'll do. How many units are we here? 5. Okay. All right, let's go out 6 units. Should do. Ah, that's what we'll do. Okay, so put a statue right here. Might move that ever so slightly. And we'll put the gymnasium right here. Now let's see where we are. Aha, there we go. That did the trick. So now we'll be able to hit prestigious, which will bring us even more intuition and help improve our budget that much more. And we can dress this up a little bit later. And probably, you know, maybe build a neighborhood over here after we're done seeing if this helps. Oh man, 40 workers is all we need. Hopefully they'll move in and we'll get something going here. Get up to 4 stars. Now something else that we never got up to 5 stars is this Brook Ranch right here. We are about 60 workers short. Why don't we expand this neighborhood over here in the peninsula? And then we can get some bus lines running out here too, because we could use some more bus lines. Let me check the chat window here for a second here. Whoops, wrong thing here. Come back here and let me check the chat window out here. Oh wow, a lot of conversation going on here. Looks like we got some questions. Will Paradox Interactive release a pandemic DLC? I don't know. I'm sure they've been thinking about it. Scott Corrine. Can you talk about your rail network? How are you handling traffic? Are you using one-way rails? Have you done a video on efficient rail networks in the past I can watch? I haven't done a lot on rails. I've talked a little bit about it, mainly just freight. I haven't built the rail network. I've only really built a third or a quarter of the rail network that I'm intending to build here. I'd like to try to get to some of that today. I just don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. But I can talk about that in a second here. Places like New Jersey are also overinflated, even though mostly all of New Jersey is suburbs. Yes, but New Jersey is very dense and has decent public transportation for its urbanized area there. Even well, at least the old parts closer to the city, to the cities, I should say. I don't know about Philadelphia area so much, but I've been to New York, around the New York area. Can I just say that your stream's a nice moment for me to relax without feeling like I'm letting my brain rot without activity. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Scott Corian, Eastern Pennsylvania is getting that way too, especially on the I-78 corridor. People with jobs in New York City come out here to live. That's crazy. That's pretty far. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I know somebody, their daughter, lives in Eastern Pennsylvania and commutes into the city. Their daughter's, their son-in-law does. Conscript David, watching how you do things and learning about how cities work in the U.S. and interacting. It's nice. I'm glad you enjoy it. I like talking about it, and I enjoy having discussions about it with everybody. Andrew the Traveler, I love how interactive you are with a fan base. Very kind and explain stuff when people have a specific question. Definitely deserve more subs. Well, hey, definitely do what you can to share the love out there. I certainly appreciate it. And hey, we're up to 46 likes. That helps a lot. So, anytime you guys can send a like on the stream or on the videos, I really appreciate it. It does help get the algorithm interested. And also getting, some chats going on here like you guys have been doing today. That is also great. Always attracts more people and gets the algorithm to publicize things a little bit more. Having to unzone low density and then zone high density is such a pain. You should be able to rezone. I agree. It would be nice. SimCity was sort of like that. I really liked that. You could You would get low density, and then it would be like, oh no, let's go to medium. Nope, let's go to high. It was nice about that, and I feel like they could use a little more of that kind of thing going here. Thank you, Andor, for pumping likes. Derek W. Houses range from 1 mil to 10 mil. That's crazy. Conscript David. Slums in Tel Aviv used to cost as much as apartments in the center of Paris. Yeah. And it's all one of the most expensive cities in Asia in general. And I'm not sure what MENA stands for, if that's an abbreviation. Considering Dubai exists in that same classification area, yes, Tel Aviv is expensive and it's a horrible place to live in. I don't know anything about it. I'm not very familiar. I haven't been to that part of the world. Waleed, Mumbai, Delhi, Dhaka, those are also really expensive if you take people's income into consideration. Yeah. Derek, Dubai is expensive only because of the close proximity to Burj Khalifa, nothing else. Or anything, the whole place is a desert. What about Abu Dhabi? Waleed says people kind of seem to like Abu Dhabi very much. I don't know. I've not been to that part of the world either. Is that a train station with a road going through it? That's cool. Yes, it is. That is Trans Central Station, and you can find those assets for Bad Peanut. Bad Peanut has those on the workshop. He has a lot of great train station assets. I use tons of his train stations. 90% of the lands in Israel belong to either the state or a state-controlled agency. Wow. Coupled with excessive regulations regarding construction, it can take several years to... Where did that go? To get papers to start construction. Excuse me. Hotels have high ratings. Do you have all club buildings placed? Add that at the fact Tel Aviv is surrounded by other cities. Oh, hey, cool. Let's see. Our college has now gotten up to prestigious. So now the sad thing is with the campus TLC, it will actually make it so that if you drop below the number of students that you need, or their level of attractiveness that you need, or academic works, you don't lose any of those. So if you drop below in students and campus attractiveness, which you could do theoretically speaking, because 113 of that is coming from our Varsity Sports, which depends on whether they win the games. And so far they are winning. They did win the last one. But the thing is that can drop precipitously enough that we would just be just below and lose our prestigious status. So we'd have to be careful with that. Let's look at policies here and see. Advertisement campaign. That increases the amount of people to the arena. Fan merchandise. Increase the odds of winning. Yeah, let's do that. Let's have fan support. Fan club support. Universal education. That's one way we can add more to attractiveness. I'm not going to worry too much about the rest of this. Okay, now visiting scholars is something you have to have a more advanced campus, 4 or 5 stars at least. The campus hires various lecturers and scholars to teach on the campus, affects all faculties within the campus area, increases faculty bonus by 25%, it increases faculty upkeep by 25%. I think we can afford that. That actually also helps bring in more tourism, I think, as well. We have not increased the cost there, but I'm not sure if that's what they mean or if it just means the upkeep cost for these. I think that's what it's referring to when it says that increases, because those numbers don't quite sound like the base numbers right there. Yeah, so that's cool. We'll do that. That should increase the tourism in our city too, which we haven't even really talked about a whole lot. So let's get back to the peninsula here, and actually, I'm gonna look at the chat window a little bit here too. But also, we're gonna go to another commercial, another message from our sponsors. Middle East, North Africa. Okay, I gotcha. So, yeah, okay, that's cool. Cradle of civilization would be another word for it. It's surprising how a transport system with few routes is considered good in the U.S. I live in a city with 100 plus routes, and it still doesn't seem to be good enough. Yeah, I don't know what that's like too much. Although I don't know that. I don't know. I'll reserve judgment on that because I haven't been abroad enough to really say. What do you think is the weakest element of the game, and would you like to be improved in the next one? Wow, that's hard to choose. I think it would be really cool if they made industry more realistic. That's something I would really prefer. I think the mods, I think everything else that they've done with this game for the most part is really, really spot on. I think it would be cool too if they made it so that there's more of a progression of density, and rather than having low or high, they just had residential, and then you could determine what level of residential you wanted each area to be. So in some area you might go with R1, the hated designation for single family residential zoning in the US. And in other neighborhoods you might go with something like, the tallest buildings might be R10, and something a little less than that might be R9, and you could just have, whatever number of levels that they have levels 1 through 5 in low and high, but high density is the only place where the buildings actually get taller. Low density, it's just a matter of wealth in how fancy the buildings are. It doesn't really tell us anything. So yeah, I don't know. I think that I would just make it so that, I think somebody mentioned in one of the comment sections, and I completely agree with this, is that they should just make it so that industries were able to connect directly to rail. They should be able to have their own rail terminals, and I feel like that would be a big thing. I feel like the industries are too small and weird. Maybe if you have a bunch of tool and die shops in a neighborhood, that makes sense, which we do have neighborhoods like that in Cleveland, but for the most part, we have a lot of larger shops and gigantic factories. For example, let me just give you some scale. If, oops, I'm hitting the wrong key here. So if I were to go to a steel mill, there's one in Lorain that still operates sort of, and there's another one in Cleveland. There used to be like 3 or 4 or 5 in Cleveland. Now I think there's only one left that still operates, or maybe 2, and they're owned by the same company. But anyway, this is, what are these, 12 units. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 blocks that are 12 units long is roughly a mile. The steel mill in Lorain is at least a mile. I want to say it would be about from here to here, and it runs along 28th Street in Lorain. So it's at least a mile and a half across, and probably a good quarter to a half a mile deep. And then you've got the Black River and everything running along it. But the point is that the steel mill is just absolutely unbelievably massive, and there are rail lines going like crazy into this thing. They use rails to move the coal cars around to where they need them, because that's what they use to fuel the blast furnaces and also to make the steel itself. So there's so much that goes into just a steel mill, and yet here is a relatively large factory, the clothing factory. I mean, that's better, but it's still, even the largest factory is just so tiny in comparison to anything in real life, it seems like, for industry. So I'd like to see that. I think we need bigger maps to really make that happen. I don't know. We're still 40 short when it comes to this industry right here. Somebody asked me about the rail. All right, so let's talk about rail. All right, so we'll only spend a minute or two on this. So basically, I have connected the port by rail and road. I don't think you can just look at rail or road one at a time. I think you have to look at it sort of holistically. Wow, that's really getting backed up. And in order to, but the bottom line is I've got rail terminals with enough frequency, and also, like this one here is on a siding, You want it on a siding because then when these things spawn or come into the station or stop, then they're not blocking up other trains that are working their way through. They just sit in there and they wait for the train that's already moving to get through, and everything stays hunky-dory. I try to segregate passenger from freight. I have not done that to a huge extent just yet because I hardly have any rail infrastructure built and the city just isn't that big or busy yet. And then over here I did the same thing. I have segregated a little bit, but I also left the main line. I left all the passenger stuff on the main line. I really don't care if the freight trains get backed up a little bit. I do care that passenger trains get through because those are workers and tourists and things like that. You always want passenger traffic to be able to go through fastest. So that's why I have the freight off of the main line. You also want to have a lot of extra space on either side of the station so that if a train is waiting to get into the station, it isn't blocking another train that's trying to get into the siding over here. So those are a few things to pay attention to. The other thing that you'll notice is that it's all on a relatively flat grade. There are a few places where there are hills, but they're so gradual you would hardly notice them. And that's the way they build railroads in real life, at least heavy rail, which is what this is. So that's really, 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 really flat. The other thing I have is I have a central station that I've built. It's not very central to much right now because we only have the 2 stops out on this end of the line. But eventually I'm going to build that rail line to go out here. And, oh no, I'm sorry. It's going to go around here and out. And there's probably going to be another line that'll go out here. And there will be freight and everything over here too. It'll be a little different than what we've got over here. And we'll probably have another port. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the short version of what we're doing with the rail system. I need to get more people working out here in Escondido. Just 40 more. It's so close. How are we doing on production? Do we have the production already? Oh, we've got way more than the production. We could probably get to 5-star if I can get enough workers in here. Yeah, you know what I think might help? Yeah, I think it would help. So we've got a ton more jobs. We've got a lot of households. We got almost, this whole area is just full of people. Let's see what we can build out here more. Oh, we were going to build a road out of that area and build up the peninsula first too. All right, let's go finish the peninsula and then come back to that. Sorry to jump around like that. Just forget some of the stuff. It's a lot on my mind. I'm kind of a scatterbrain sometimes, which is why I like to script my More Money, Less Traffic series. All right, how wide is that? That's 10 units. All right, so let's try and stick with 10 units here. 10 by 36 should be good. It looks like we've got a hill out here too. Well, that changes the math a little bit here. Hang on. I didn't realize that. Let's follow the terrain a little more. It'll make for a much more interesting neighborhood. So a lot of American cities still brute force their way through with the terrain. That's a nice hill. I think I like that hill. So let's see if we can move this through here to 12 units more. And rather than just thinking of ideas here. Okay, so why don't we do something a little different here, maybe? I don't know. That's actually a really good vantage point. I think that, yeah, let's go ahead and build up along the spine here. And we'll make this just a nice vantage point up here. Or we can maybe have a nice expensive housing district or something. Go out 18 units right there. And that's not, how steep is that? That's not too bad. Let's do... let's do 8 units right there. Well, 12 units there. These are going to be very steep streets, but this will be a fun neighborhood once it's done here. All right, let's see. 6 units. Can we do 6 at 115? What is that angle right there? It's 54.8. So let's is that 25? So 25 and 90, 115. Yeah, that sounds right. Let's do 115, 6 units away from here. Try to have a little symmetry. Okay, that looks good. And I think we can probably do the same thing over here. 8 units. Whoops, 6 units, 115. There we go. And we'll bring it in about there. That looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. Okay. Turn my angle back on here. Alright, so now let's go with 120. Whoops. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to do that. That's not quite what I want. I don't like that. What do I need to do here? You know what? I'm just not going to do that at all. About 10 units there. And we'll go out. Five units on either side here. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll round this off. Whoops. Okay, I like it. That looks good. What do you guys think? It's not straight. It's not a perfect grid. All right, and let's figure out what we're going to do with this area. Maybe we should just terrace this a little bit here. Go out 12 units over here. Turn off my angle. And then we're good there. Okay. Eliminate that. Alright, so now I just have this section here. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. It's not, I've had better, but I think it'll look okay. I can always redevelop it later, right? Yeah, so I need to change this up because I don't want to go up the middle. I'm going to have no ability to water the outside. There we go. Probably should have gone up the middle now that I think about it. Oh well. We'll do this. Seeing some busy chat window again here. Hard to chat and build water pipes at the same time, though. So does anybody know of a good lighthouse asset? I'm just curious, because I'm thinking this might be a fun place to put one down here at the end of this peninsula. Maybe we could do that on the next episode. Hey, I can get rid of these power lines. I don't need those anymore. That's always good. All right, so now let's zone them. move some of these around a little bit. Probably going to move these completely out of the neighborhood at some point. Now I don't have water. Uh-oh. We don't want flooding here. Oh, we got an autosave. Oh, man. I hope that's not going to stay there. It probably won't. Oh well, we're just going to let those people hopefully not drown. Chances are good they can check into a hotel. This is going to be a pretty wealthy area. Yeah, still prestigious. There we go. That's better. Okay, so that should be good. Now, do we have enough schools? Looks like we could use more elementary schools. Probably could use some over in Escondido, now that I think about it. How are we doing on that? Oops. How's our school doing? It is almost full, so let's put another elementary school in over here. We could definitely use a high school too. Let's put our elementary school up here and build a high school somewhere more central. Like right there. And they can always go into the city for the rest. Ugh. Now we're further away from our 4-star workers. Hopefully we'll get some people to move in here. Now another area that we could build a neighborhood. Build one over here. Hillside neighborhood. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably going to take a lot more time than I have at the moment. Let's build up here on the top of the hill. Extend this neighborhood out further. Not sure what I want to do with this, all of it yet. But I should be able to extend this quite a lot here. It's a good start. Okay, all right, well, let's just fill that in with residential at the moment. I think we can get away with the grid going out a little bit further right there. The other thing we'll do is we'll add some transit lines here and probably try to build that road. Oh, I don't want to do that there. I want commercial. And we'll have commercial here. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna allow some of this to build up as residential too. After all. Need a little water over here. Okay. So that'll add a little bit in that area. Yeah. All right, so let's build that road. What time is it? Okay, we got a little time here. Now the question is, do I want to try to build more residential, or do I want to try to get this road built? We're still short. I'm so surprised at that. I'm wondering if it's probably not the education level coming up here in this neighborhood. Probably is. I don't know what to do about that at the moment. Let's add a little more residential over here in Escondido. We've got the jobs. Oh, that's going to be a steep one. There we go. All right, make sure we have water. Good to go there. There we go. Let's see if we can have a little space over here. Got a little bit. I don't really want to build on that at the moment. Don't feel like it. Okay, so I don't think that's going to help enough. So we've built that. We can get a bus in here. Let's go ahead and get our gravel road out here so we don't end up spending a ton of money on this. All right, so what is the best way to get into Escondido? It looks to me like I should probably try to go up one of these canyons here. If I go up here, I end up with some pretty steep areas pretty quick. If I come down here, that's probably my best move right here, is to come right down here into Paso Laguna. It'll give me access to plenty of new land too. So let's just extend off of this road here. We've got crossover street right here. We also have the railroad. Yeah, we'll deal with this later. We'll fix the fix anything we might decide is a bad idea later. And I'm probably going to fiddle with this a lot off camera to get it to be just right. How do I want to go up? Which side do I want to go up? think I want to go up over here. I'm just trying to follow the terrain as much as I possibly can here. Okay, so now I need to go back down over here. That looks a little steeper. Let's do this. Oh, I don't like that as well. A tighter curve. All right. Not bad. I have to go around the side of this hill. It's actually a lot straighter than I expected it to be. Like I said, I'm going to probably fiddle with this a lot off camera. Okay. Now I just need to go straight along this rail line. Oh, come on. There we go. We'll fiddle with this off camera. All right, so I'm just trying to keep this down here. From having to shuffle around a whole lot of earth. Okay. Well, that's almost where I want it. I don't want bending. put it there for the moment. I'm going to definitely separate the grade here. At some point. But not right now. Alright, so now, since we're not planning on really building on that anytime soon, I'm just going to make this two-way highway. So that traffic can move along at a pretty good clip. I am, however, going to reduce the speed limit on it because it's a little unrealistic that you're going to go through all those curves at 100 kilometers per hour. Some of those are pretty sharp. Okay, so let's get traffic manager out here. We're going to set a speed limit, and we're going to set it at, yeah, let's do 70. And over here, I want 50 over here. All right, so that will do. Actually, I probably wanted 40. Oh well. And I'm going to turn this into a normal street right here for the moment. So this will probably reduce some of my rail traffic, but it will also make it so that my garbage trucks can get through. I'm going to widen this intersection here. Oh. And then last, I am going to put in... yeah, no, I don't want a stop sign. I don't want a traffic light. I'm going to put a stop sign in. It'll also be able to share services, but I've already got a pretty good economy going on over there, so it's not like I really need them that desperately. Whoa. Sorry, guys. All right, so this is obviously not going to work long term because we could end up with a ton of traffic coming through here. I don't know what to expect. I'm just going to leave it in here, and then we'll fix the traffic problem as it occurs rather than trying to get too crazy with it ahead of time. But that's a nice enough road. I think I'll probably make it quite a lot better off camera. It's also sort of busy. So let's go ahead and turn off let's turn this on and turn this, whoops, and turn this one off. So that's going to be able to handle, well, I don't know how many I was able to handle. How many was that able to handle? 24,000 per week. This one, I don't know what the processing capacity would be, but either way, the garbage trucks are going to come out here and pick that up, and we're not going to have a whole lot of trouble with that. Anyway, that should be a good way to connect a whole bunch of stuff. Now, the other thing I can do now is I can set up a bus route, and maybe that will collect enough workers out here and bring them into my town here. I'm just going to run it through the center of town. Oh, wait, that's not Main Street. This is Main Street. I don't know if I want that there. Let's run a loop around downtown here. So it's safe enough to say that they're gonna be okay walking along that block here. This is where the high density residential all happens to be. And we'll pick up some of this residential around the fringe here. And we'll run this out to the center of the area there. Yeah, let's see how that plays. Should help a little bit. Let's add some more bus lines in the city too. It'll take a while for the buses to get there. All right, so we could use parallel routes probably to this line here. And we could also use a transit line or two through there. So why don't we set up something along Figueroa right here? Start there. And see if we can stagger this a little bit. No, maybe not. Yeah, now we can stagger it pretty easily. Let's move this over here. Whoops. Send it up here. Oh, not there. Yeah, no, that's good. There we go. Okay. So that's a nice little line right there. Let's see if we can run another line. How about we put one... Yeah, why don't we do that? And we'll run it up Laguna. Okay, so that gives us a little bit more coverage right there. It connects Laguna Boulevard into downtown a little bit. And I think we'll run a line up here too. Not all the way to the end. Yeah, there's a stop right there. Yeah, and we can run it into Aristotle Park. Okay. I have no idea how well these lines are going to work out, geographically speaking. Just hoping for the best. I don't want it there. Okay, so these should do the trick for most of it. I have to put colors and stuff on these. That's a little better than what it was. Now, I would like to run some parallel lines to Broadway. The problem is none of my streets really go through, so it makes it really awkward. I could change that right there. Let's do that. And I'm gonna, oh, I can't move this stupid facility here. Well, let's empty that and hope for the best. Let's see how we're doing on garbage and everything right now. Garbage processing could be a little bit better. Okay. I don't know if that means we need another facility or if we need another pickup. It looks like that's pretty full. How many zeros is that? Okay, that's full. I think I need another garbage waste processing facility here. So let's see about that. Garbage. You could just build it right next to it. And while I'm waiting for that, actually, you know, I could just use move it, couldn't I? Cheater, cheater, cheater. There. All of you Move It fans should be happy. I guess I didn't really need it by the time I did move it. All right, so let's get a road. Let's connect. I think this is Kenneth Street. I'm getting an autosave. Well, it's time to catch up on the chat anyway. Let me go ahead and build this, and then we'll catch up on the chat. But first, a word from our sponsors. Whoops. Wrong button. Go away. Okay. Done with the autosave. Let's build us a bridge into here. Now, let's see how deep we need to make this. It looks like we are about 3 or 4 meters above grade here. I'm going to try and put this about probably 10 meters below that. Actually, all I'm going to do for starters is turn on anarchy and connect the road. I didn't turn on straight slope. That's okay. We're going to add a node in here anyway. Might even add a few of them. All right, I don't want a crossing. I want... Yeah, that'll work. And now we can lower that. Now, how far down are we? We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, not bad. That should do. And if I just slope these out, oh, that's not what I want to do. I forgot to select them. All right, there we go. Slope the objects, and that should be good. All right, now the way I usually try to do this so that it looks realistic, let me go to my dirt road here, is I try to line it up with the grid on the road that I am traversing with whatever, you know, I'm trying to separate, whether it's a road or a rail, doesn't really matter. And then I just go so that I have 2 units in between, 2 full units, so 4 units away. And then I build a road that connects up to that rail. Now, it looks like it's hanging on to one of those nodes. There might be an easier way of doing this. This is not an active line at the moment, so I can get away with this pretty easily. And we're going to make it a truss. Then delete the guide road, and voila. Kenneth Street is now connected on both sides of the rail. Oh. Well, oh, whatever. I'll have to fix that later. Probably need to get rid of the stop signs over here on Market, though. Okay. So that road connects nicely, and I don't think the grade is too insane there. We could probably use some more connections in through here. I haven't figured out what I want to do with that district yet. Sort of leaving it open for the time being. But at least this solves a little bit of a problem right there. Now I can build a bus line here that will go all the way through and parallels Broadway. park right there. And I'm just going to let this go all the way down to Liverpool. Got my stops a lot closer together than some of these lines have. And the reason for that is basically just because I'm going into a denser area, I'm not going to worry too much about how close the stops are. And this is sort of a temporary alignment for that line anyway, because I don't really know what's going to end up happening up here on top of the hill. So that gives us a little bit of relief on our tram line here. So let's see how our tram lines are performing. Now, I don't see a whole lot of use going on. That's probably from some glitch. I'm going to do something a little drastic, and I'm going to clear all the traffic, because a lot of times that brings back a lot of transit activity that is otherwise missing, and I don't really know why it's missing. It just is. So I just deleted all that. We're going to see what happens, how well it comes back. How is our rail doing here? Oh, looks like we've got some pretty good use going here, so that's good. And our bus lines. Ooh, we've got all these bus lines, and I don't have names for them. Probably do that off camera too, since we're running close to the end here. Some of these are quite busy, though. Quite busy. Which line is that? Let's give it a color, at least. Aha, yeah. That's the one on Laguna. We don't have any line on that at all. So that could eventually be a tram line. Who knows? We'll check that out as it develops. So let's see here. Let's catch up on the chat. Oh, have you had something? Oh, that's just not enough educated workers. Not going to worry about that too much. How are we doing on utilities here? Good on electricity and water. Good on garbage. How's our employment? Ooh, we need a lot more employment. One would think that jobs out here would be pretty hot. It doesn't seem like we're quite getting everything we need in here. So let's see. Yeah, so we've got decent coverage. Let's see if we can move. Let's move a stop right here in front of the rail station and see if that makes any difference at all. We'll see what that does. And it looks like the sun's going to try to go down on us again. So let's put it back up. All right, so Peninsula neighborhood seems to have filled in. No, it's still filling in. How did I give that a district? Yes. So how's Peninsula Bosque doing? Okay, great. 4,000 residents, not a whole lot of jobs going on. That's fine. Let's see if we've got enough educational. Oh, we do need another high school somewhere, more elementary. So let's build an elementary school out here. Build one there. Where could we use a high school? Well, it looks like we could use one on the top of the hill. Looks like a good place for one. So now we're back in the green on that. Let's find another place for an elementary. Put it right there. How are we doing on healthcare coverage? Maybe police and fire. That looks pretty good. What are we doing out here? That Escondido sure did grow quick. Come on, ELM. Ha, we're so close to getting that 4 stars. Well, what would really give us a whole lot of residential room is out here. You know, we could also densify downtown a little bit here. Why don't we do that? Bring some more density to this area. Now I use the office zones to buffer between the commercial and the residential. We don't have any high density commercial in here either. Let's add it. Why not? Just add a little bit anyway. Oh, I never rezoned that. Put some high density commercial right in here. So I know I can get away with zoning a little bit at a time as far as my high density commercial goes. And the reason why I only zone a little bit at a time is because I don't want to have an overwhelming amount of traffic come into the area again, because that would be very difficult to manage. Okay, so some of that is filling in. Let's fill some of this in. Get an office building right there. Should be good. Now this could easily cause some death waves later on, but that's fine. We will show you how to handle those, how to fix them at some point here if we end up with any. So far we've been pretty good with that. Should give us some more residential in here. We're up to 40,000. We do have a lot more people living downtown than just working, but we still don't have a very even ratio there. La Colina has a lot more workers. That would be a good place for some more density. A little more workers, a little more people out in Liverpool. Aristotle Park, not loaded with a lot of workers, but not loaded with a lot of households either. All right. Let's see if we can fill in some more of that high density commercial here yet. Nope, not yet. Not quite. Oh, I missed that. It was supposed to be office right there. So if we look at how this looks with the noise map, the residential is in a fairly quiet area and it's all buffered by offices. Over here I did not buffer. I'm not ready to put offices over there yet. I'm trying not to overwhelm with the amount of jobs. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to extend this rail line here, but that's a whole project that I don't know if I want to get involved in right now because I need to figure out how I'm going to bridge through here if I want to build a tunnel and pop the rail line out here, or if I want to follow along the coast and not build a tunnel. Maybe just do a cut on the edge of this mountain. That would be adequate too. It just wouldn't be a very efficient way of getting over there. I'm sort of partial to the tunnel at the moment. Still prestigious, and we won a basketball trophy. That's good. So that's a project I think we'll take on in the next episode. And we're not getting a crazy amount of traffic over here, which is good because I'd rather see them take the train. But there is a bit of traffic going up through here. Some of it looks like garbage trucks. Now, hopefully the garbage trucks are servicing this area. It looks like things are going pretty well, though. Yeah, they are. Let's check out our land value map and see how we've done with that. We could build a park. Why don't we work on some parks? We've got a lot of good land value going on through downtown. Probably could work on this waterfront a little bit too, although I'd like to do the rail line first. So let's work on Lillian Park right here. And I want to check out the chat window here really quick, and we'll have a message from our sponsors, and then we'll build this park here. Wow, I've missed a lot in the chat window. It's been busy in here. I might have to review some of this later. Okay, so we got, I remember that. Okay, so do you plan to add outside road connections later at some point? Yes, I do, but right now, not so much. Mostly just trying to work with rail and not do too much for the roads. Just have some basic roads right now, even inside the city. Like we just now connected Paso Laguna to Escondido, so that's made a difference. So that we can get garbage trucks and buses and stuff like that running around over there. Since the land tax for residential is capped by the central government at a certain rate and is severely low compared to business, land taxes become financial ruinous. Okay, I remember that part. You can tell Israel was... Okay, yeah, that's right. I saw some of this. What do you think? There is no sim element, just traffic. That's not entirely true. If you look into the educational system, education is not something that is obvious in this game. There's going to be another next video I'm going to put out is going to show a whole lot of why education is really important to building a tax base. And my next More Money, Less Traffic episode, I think you'll dig that. So keep an eye out for that. Wednesday, Thursday is when that should come out. That'll drop. And then part 6, I should be able to get part 6 done. Hopefully, maybe before the end of the month. We'll see. No social aspect. Yeah, there's no social. You're right about that. There's a lot of things that aren't simulated. I don't know that necessarily SimCity completely simulated everything as well as it could have either. But it would be pretty cool if we could do that. I would like that. People are happy with whatever you do. I want teacher and doctor strikes, long-term pollution effects, actual choices to make regarding development of your city. In SimCity 4, places with no services would become crime-ridden slums. Yes. In City Skylines, places with no services just pay less taxes. True. Welcome back, Llama Bother. Pennywise, they pay taxes, doesn't matter what you do, just not more than 12%. Yeah, that's not very sensitive. I think a modder could probably do some things with this, but it's also really difficult to code all of that, and then of course you're not getting paid. That's really difficult too. Patreon might help though. I reckon the game needs some kind of historical side. Do you start off in an earlier area building historic buildings rather than the middle of a field in the 21st century? I think that would be really cool. I would make certain technologies available at the beginning, and at least go back to maybe the pre-railroad era a little bit. Maybe like 18th century, and maybe even 17th century, 18th century, 19th century at least would be nice. And then you bring in the railroads, then you only have railroad and ship connections. Then you have streetcars. Electric streetcars were a thing that were a big deal. And then after that, you could have cable cars and stuff like that too. Cable cars are really cool. And I don't mean the cable cars like they have in the game. I'm talking about, look at San Francisco still has operating set of cable cars where the cables run under the streets and it pulls the car underneath there. They've got wooden brakes. It's really old-fashioned technology, and they're still using it in San Francisco. It works pretty nice. It's also a great tourist attraction, but that's actually how they ran things before they had electric streetcars and electric trolleys and stuff like that. So look into that little bit of history. That's pretty cool. Then, of course, you'd have the automobile era, and then after that, you would have the freeway era, and high-speed rail could come along. All sorts of things that would be pretty cool to do. Not sure what to think about the Hyperloop technology. I'm not sure I'm a believer until I see something in action that makes it look like a viable tech. Right now, it looks like a great way to sell more Tesla cars, and not such a great way to do public transportation. I don't think Elon Musk is really a fan of public transportation. I think he likes cool toys and cool things, but have you tried the Real City mod? No, I have not. I've had people talk about that. I'll have to look into that one. I want mixed use zoning. I can understand that. I think there's ways around it that you can use now. It's not easy though. It would be cool to have mixed use zoning. Jay can't say what I have. What's that? I do love mod support. It's a mod that has rewritten the whole game. Yeah. I think I saw some of that, but I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't looked into it since it came out in its infancy. Bethlehem Steel was the same way, rail everywhere. Yes. I have to try it. I mean, this Industries DLC does have some scale to it. Building everything that is required for a steel mill in game can actually bring you to some pretty large sizes. Yes. And same with airports. Airports are a lot bigger in real life than they are in this game. They take up a good chunk of the map with us, just the runways and the taxiways. The scale of the buildings are wonky. They're too small. Conscript says, again, they can't really make a true scale, but Industries DLC does have a more believable scale to it overall compared to the weird 4x4 base game Industries. As of right now, I'm building on a flat map, and I'm incorporating a rail. The area is going to be low-density residential with little to no high-density residential and high-density commercial. It does, but it doesn't really let you have a city without some of the weird zoned industry, at least not easily. It's also kind of weird how all industries are heavy processing plants, and a lot of industrial zones in real life are about workshops and more polluting business. Yeah, that's true. Furniture shops, ceramics, garages, trucking stations, etc. Not really factories with smog chimneys, but are still classified as industrial zone. Yes, The vanilla forestry industry actually has some of the more realistic assets in this regard, except for that they're not that realistic because you end up with all sorts of crazy stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense there too. But instead of the smog chimney industrial, we should get warehouses and workshops. Yes, I think warehouses are a big deal. And actually, that reminds me, I needed to build some warehouses so I can use the paper and stuff in my unique factories, which I could build now. That actually probably help a lot, now that I think about it. Probably get me the workers I need, for all I know. I think the vanilla industrial is flat out ugly. Yes, I have to agree. I like some of the asset packs that people have made that make it look a lot more old-fashioned, because I think those kind of look cool anyway. More of the brick industrial buildings, because I don't really know of too many buildings that actually look like the industrial buildings that they have in this game in real life. And if they do have them like that, they're not very common to look the way they do, especially not in the U.S. I usually put them in wooded areas to make them blend into the natural surroundings. If anyone knows other famous big industrial factories like the Lorraine Steel Mill, please tell me. I am a sucker for a good factory. Okay, look at the Industrial Valley in Cleveland. There's a lot of stuff that's been ripped out, but there's still a lot there. Another place I would look is you can see Lorraine Assembly, which is on the west side of Lorraine near Vermilion, Ohio. Another place would be the Brook Park Engine Plant. That's also shrunk quite a bit, but that's in Brook Park, Ohio, near Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Another one would be the Parma GM plant, which is just east of Brook Park Engine, which is Ford. GM has a factory, huge factory, not too far to the east. I can't remember what they build there. I think it's mostly a parts factory. Ohio Assembly in Avon Lake is another one. It's kind of on the border, Avon Lake, Sheffield Village, Avon City. And then you can see the old Terex plant in, I think it's on the edge of Hudson and Stowe, Ohio, off of Darrow Road, Route 91. Some of that's been repurposed. Some of it's a movie theater now, but there's a lot of other parts of that I think are still sitting empty. I think they've gotten some industry in there though. Then you're going to find a lot of old rubber plants might still exist in Akron. Some of the original ones, like I think the BF Goodrich plant is still there. There's a lot to Goodyear's headquarters and stuff there, but of course they don't make as much in Akron as they used to. A lot of it's been shipped out of the area, probably down south and overseas to where they actually build the tires. St. Louis, around there in East St. Louis in Illinois, there's a whole lot of stuff over there. Gary, Indiana is loaded with, there's a giant steel mill right next to to a national park, which, hey, who knows, maybe that steel mill won't always be there, but there's a lot of industry along Lake Michigan and Gary, Indiana. There's a lot of warehouses and stuff like that. A lot of huge railroad yards. Probably some of the largest in the world are in Chicago, and along the Chicago River and stuff like that. Chicago's the rail hub in North America. Trying to think of where some other ones are that I know of that are still in operation. River Rouge. Go to Detroit. Detroit has a lot of old factories. Some of them are still in use, but Detroit and Flint, Youngstown. Just look anywhere in the Midwest, you're going to find a lot of stuff. Cleveland, Buffalo, Detroit, Chicago, not so much as necessarily. They didn't have the big stuff, and it's not along Lake Michigan. They actually were smart and didn't put everything on the lake. You'll see a lot of stuff in Gary, Indiana, and some of the environs, some of the outlying parts of Chicago, maybe Milwaukee for sure. You can see some of the ore mines and stuff like that up in Minnesota. I know those are pretty big. That's where they mine iron ore. And they turn it into taconite pellets, which they ship over the Great Lakes into ports like Gary or Lorraine or Cleveland, and then they make steel. with coal that they bring up from southern Illinois and Indiana and West Virginia and Kentucky and southern Ohio and all across Pennsylvania, a lot of it. So there's a lot of stuff. It's really cool. If you want to see what big industry looks like, you'll probably find some chemical plants and stuff like that in West Virginia. I know there's one around Parkersburg, and I think there's a big refinery or chemical plant or something on the south side of Charleston, West Virginia, along I-77. So those will give you some ideas, some places to start. I know St. Louis had a lot of industry. That's another place in the Midwest. Cincinnati had some too. Trying to think if there was anywhere else. Probably find some stuff around Toledo. I know there were steel mills in Youngstown. I think there's still a steel mill in Canton. Timken makes some of the best bearings in the world over in Canton, still does, although they're more worldwide now too. If anyone knows, they're big famous. Okay, the ore industry is probably the most neglected. If you don't build on flat ground, you end up with weird terrain warping. Yeah, I haven't really messed with ore industry. We're going to have to play with that one here on the stream. Okay, Yorkshire. Yeah, I think, isn't that where the cradle of the Industrial Revolution was? Was that in Yorkshire or was that somewhere else? I forget the name of the valley in the UK where basically the Industrial Revolution started. The old factories are the prettiest. And a lot of those you're going to have to really hunt for because they're abandoned in the U.S. But in the U.K., they probably had preserved some of that architecture more. I'm partial to Bethlehem Steel in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's been converted into a commercial community center area. Yeah, I haven't checked that out. I'll have to look into that. Bethlehem had a mill in Cleveland. They used to have a nuclear power station in the UK. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you're going to find a lot of stuff along the Rhine River. Germany has extensive industry as well. I'd love to see the water pumps move to more industrial area, maybe with sewage treatment plant all combined. Yeah, it's eventually going to happen. I just haven't figured out where I'm going to put it yet. Yeah, it is really huge. I mean, look, you ought to look for like a Boeing plant or an Airbus plant where they're building airplanes. I'm sure those are gigantic, although they might not be. They might be tall and wide. Well, another really cool industrial building, I guess you could call it industrial, is Kennedy Space Center. Go check that out in Melbourne, Florida. It's around there. That's the Space Coast. That is a really cool building where they assembled the Saturn V and all sorts of rockets, the space shuttle. Everything got put together in that place. It is just gigantic. Cape Arago Lighthouse looks pretty cool. So that's an asset on the workshop. I'll have to check that out, Alec. Thanks for that. A guy has also made a real construction, which is a slow-paced game if you can make it really interesting because you need construction materials to build anything. Interesting. I'll have to look into that too. I wonder if it works with realistic population and realistic education. I haven't looked into realistic. I didn't know there was a realistic education mod. I mean, these people are actually rewriting some of the base code of the game to make those mods. Parliament tool, politics and society. Wow. Yeah, I'll have to look into that for sure. Maybe use the money mod and double the starting money if you play without the unlocks, because in the beginning you lose money because you have to import the materials. Yeah. Where the game is to spend. I managed to do a 360 with my truck on a highway like that in Colorado. of course, Truck Simulator carrying gifts to people at 65 miles per hour. Yeah. You know what's funny is if you go along, going into the hill here, if you go out to California and to drive the Pacific Coast Highway, it's a 55 mile an hour speed limit or 65 or something like that all along the coast. But you see those hairpin turns and you need a serious car. Way better than anything you're going to be able to rent for very cheap to be able to do that at that speed. In Nevada, they allow you to go 80 miles an hour while having a triple trailer or a Rocky Mountain double. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm not really sure. I'd have to ask my dad. My dad drives a truck. So they have 55 mile per hour limits for trucks. Yeah. They had a 55 mile an hour speed limit across the entire country here in the U.S. for a long time. About the 90s, they started, or maybe the 80s, they started relaxing that. So the states could set higher speed limits. And like in Ohio, we can go 70. But if you go to like Wyoming, I think parts of Nevada, and Texas for sure, you can do 80 miles an hour pretty easy legally. South Dakota also has an 80 mile an hour speed limit on a lot of freeways like Interstate 80 or 90. They go much faster than that in real life. I'm trying to think that is okay. The blue bus is now going through one small street to get. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. We'll check it out in a second. The Andor about the transit lines. Is your job's problem an education level issue? It could be, because farms use a lot of uneducated workers. Maybe your workers are too educated. That could possibly be. Hello, Usuario. Thanks for joining us. Gotta Go has been very fun as usual. Catch the VOD tomorrow. Well, take care, Conscript. Have a good one. See, I'm still learning how to do it like him. Is that how a city has grown from last streaming? Yeah. Iron Bridge Gorge, that's what I was trying to think of. Thank you for that. That's the one in the UK where the Industrial Revolution started. Yorkshire was where it all began, and we never stopped talking about it. Well, I know when I saw that in the book, in the travel guide, when I was looking at going to the UK. Didn't make it there, but I think I will eventually, especially if there's not a pandemic. I don't care how familiar you are with stuff on the Canadian side of the lakes. Not as much as I'd like. Hamilton and Windsor are quite industrial. The rail and road infrastructure cross-border is very cool. I've been around like St. Catharines. I've done a lot around the Niagara Peninsula maybe, and seen some stuff like where the Welland Canal goes through. That was really cool. I like checking out those locks. A lot of people don't realize that there's real big ships on the Great Lakes. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, I've grown up looking at those things. It's where most of the UK's coal reserves were, and most of the wool industry was too, so it made most of the world's textiles for a short while. Yeah. All right, so I'm caught up on the chat finally. Now, where was I? What were we going to do before I went to... Oh, that's right. We were going to work on the park a little bit. Looks like we're about out of time, but I'm going to get something started here and see you guys off. So let's do a city park. Get a side gate going here. I need a main gate first, though. Let's put it on Lillian, since it's going to be called Lillian Park. Ugh. Well, whatever. We'll put it over here. Turn on anarchy because it doesn't like curved roads for whatever reason. How is that space already occupied? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. This is a neighborhood park instead of being more of a city park. More more of a, you know, urban space type of deal. So let's move this right there. We're already getting lots of upgrades. I think I need another gate here. Just doesn't look quite right otherwise. A little anarchy never hurt. Alright, so that should be good. And yeah, you know, let's see how flat this is. This area is not the flattest. No, it's not flat at all. Okay, so this will be a different kind of park, I think, here. First, let's put in some gazebo. Let's put a playground in. We'll put a couple of playgrounds in here. For the kids in the neighborhood. Couple of gazebos here and there. Let's see what else. Not sure I want this chessboard. Let's just put in more gazebos. And then we'll use props for the rest of it and trees. No, that just doesn't seem right either. No, let's not demolish it. Well, I think I just made it another expensive neighborhood. Okay. Alright, so we've got our gazebos. Yeah, we probably could just let that roll for a while. I need to build... Let's build a fence around this. So with the fences, they attach really nicely, just so you can see on our gates right here. And if we have all of the guide thingamajigs on, it makes it a lot easier to connect everything. If we have a nice square park, sadly, we usually do not have a nice square park. So right here, I'm going to... Whoa. There we go. Nope, that's not going to work. Alright, so I need to turn off my road length. And it probably would be good if I turned that off. What is that? The point snapping? Node snapping. Okay, so I don't want it to toggle to the... I want it to go to the nodes. Turn off my road guidelines too. And I'm just going to try to eyeball it, and it's not working out very well. Huh. Well, I can't use anarchy to get around this either. How about we go the other way? Or we could just do this. Huh, that doesn't want to work either. I do not understand why that does not want to work. That'll have to do. So as you can see, you gotta fiddle with it sometimes. And you really want to have road guidelines on in a lot of the cases because the grid doesn't quite work the way you want it to. Sometimes you build it out partially, and then you can get the line, the guideline will pop out. That's an easy one, thankfully. This one shouldn't be too hard. Turn anarchy off here. Turn it back on. All right. That should be good enough. We could probably use move it on this particular segment here. All right, so that's all fenced off. We'll let that develop, and then we'll see what happens when we add some trees and stuff like that. Because a lot of times, well, let's just watch it here. It's going to happen. We'll speed up the clock a little bit. If we watch this, once this hits, sometimes it'll give us a bonus. It gave us a pretty substantial one right there. So about 150, I think, or 120 at least is what we got out of that. So we'll let that build because that might already be enough to get it up over 1120 or awfully close. But that'll be a nice little park right there, and it should bring our property values up drastically in La Colina. So let's look at land value here again. All right, so now we need something in between this area. So I really have to sit around and think out what I want to do with this neighborhood. Because, I mean, it is a nice little spot we could eventually do something with. But, you know, maybe we won't right now. I need to turn my node snapping back on. I also have a bit of a hill. It's not too bad of a hill. Why don't we just connect this up for the moment? Yeah. I don't really like that as well. I need to turn my road length back on too. Okay, I think I can live with that for the moment. I don't know. It's not my fave. You know what? We will go back to this another day. I just can't make up my mind, and I just need to sleep on this one. So anyway, we will be back come, what would that be? A week from today on Monday. And I might try with the new year coming, I might try to add something in the evening for the Eastern time zone, which would be maybe later for the Pacific time zone too. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like. If you're here in the States or if you're somewhere in the U.S., somewhere outside the U.S. where somewhere out of the Western Hemisphere, where that may not, even if that is a good time for you, that would be really cool to know. But I think in the meantime, we're pretty good. Oh, let's take a look at traffic really quick here. And I know we had a couple of questions asked about this. Let's see how that's going. Now over here, we do have a lot going on traffic-wise, but it is all moving pretty well. I'd say that's just fine. Now, what do you have here? Yeah, okay. That's working pretty well. I'd say we're in really good shape traffic-wise. We've got a lot of reds and oranges, mostly orange, but nothing that's too crazy going on here. That's getting busy. Probably because of the at-grade rail crossing. I'm actually really surprised at how well that's worked. Now, if that was an industrial area on the other side here, we would be in real trouble. There's no way that would work. But since it's all residential and we've got the rail station and a lot of public transportation, I think that's probably working out really well. And we have pretty good traffic flow here too. Could be better. Probably could set some of that up here. Let's put a yeah, let's let these guys go and have these ones stop. And I'm going to, instead of making that a dirt road right there, so the trucks can get their butt moving as soon as the light turns. Well, as soon as they have an opportunity with their stop sign, it'll definitely keep things from getting stuck. I do not know why garbage trucks are ever leaving this area. I probably need a mod that will keep them in the area. It's 80% full. I hope that there are. Okay, there are. Those trucks I want to see leave the area. I do not want to see these kinds leaving. I do not know why that is happening. So I need a mod probably. I used to use one that was made by Eris Overwatch, and was the base mod, and I was able to get hearses and everything hearses and garbage trucks both to keep in their area. I could probably improve Escondido Park. I don't know. We'll deal with that another day too. Hey, we're up to 4 stars. I think that's where we were trying to hit. So we finally hit it. We're a little below that threshold of 550, but we did finally make it. Now we're up above. Okay, yeah. So we're going to get back up to 550 to be able to stay at 4 stars, but we did make it to 4 stars. One other thing we should do before we get finished here, I feel like this might have something to do with some of our problems too in that area. I'm just going to go out here and add a couple warehouses. Still prestigious. Very good. All right, so warehouses, and we'll build some unique factories in our next one, but for right now, I need to get this stuff being stored out here. I'm picking a terrible location for this, I think. So we want paper in one of these, and we want plain timber in the other one. And when we build any of our unique factories, I'm probably going to build them out here towards the port. I'm going to have to do something with the traffic over here, though. We've got some serious traffic jams, and some of that's probably because I have warehouses in really bad places. Let me move one of these over here. That's probably a really bad place. I'm just going to leave well enough alone. We're definitely going to have to deal with this traffic over here, and I've got some ideas of ways we can improve this. Looks like Brook Ranch has now finally made it to 5 stars, which is awesome. So I think that ELM will eventually get there as well once we expand some of our factories here. We have almost 7,000 people living in that area. That looks pretty cool. Paso Laguna is feeling a little left out. We'll do something about that in the next episode, perhaps. I really want to work on this. Puerto del Mar needs to expand up the valley here, and we need to build another town over here. So we'll do that probably in the next episode for sure. We've got 15,000 living in downtown. And Colina, about 6,000. Liverpool, not too many. So we got a lot of things up to 5 stars today. And we build ourselves a little bit of a hoity-toity neighborhood out here on this peninsula. I need to find a lighthouse asset. I'm going to check into the one that somebody recommended here on the broadcast. So I'm going to take a look one last time at the chat window, and then we will conclude. I will leave you with a nice view of the city right here. I'll slow the clock down just a tad. What was the name of that mod Lee was using last live stream where it shows slope percentage? That's Electrics mods. It's got a slope smoother and a few other things. I think he makes a parallel road tool as well, but Electrics, Elektrix, I think is his name. Should be easy to find on the workshop. I'll let you know here in a second. Give me a second. Yeah, Electrics road tools. So look for that one. Back to the chat here. What's zone anarchy? What exactly does it do? It doesn't control the building levels. It controls how far how many units away from the road the buildable squares are for growable buildings. That's what the zone anarchy mod does. When placing roads, it should grade the angle or whatever. Yeah, Electric's road tools. That's the one. Take care, Usuario. Take care. And could do a real transit hub plaza sort of thing with lots of different roads for different bus lines in front of the central station. Yeah, I need to do something over there. I've got so many ideas. Elric, you have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is, and a great rest of the holiday season here. Expletive deleted. Great stream. See you next time. Take care, Expletive. And Defodiant? Any news on episode 5? We're looking at Wednesday or Thursday. That should pop. I'm going to do a 12:30 time on one of those days. Hopefully I'll be able to get some of it done today, but probably most of it will get done tomorrow. Maybe some of it will get done on Wednesday, but for sure by Thursday. It's really close already. Take care, Llama Bother. See you next week. Hope. Yep. We'll be back Monday at 1 o'clock. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate everything you do for supporting the channel, and I hope you had a great time. I hope you enjoy seeing the city starting to take shape in a lot of ways, and we've even got a bona fide suburb going on out there, not just a little rail junction. And we're probably going to sort out some of our rail issues here in the next episode, because I really am going to have to get a little more disciplined with some of that. We did pretty well in Escondido. We have lots more to do here in Puerto del Mar proper. And anyway, I hope you guys had fun. You take care and peace out.